Hello and welcome to the third quarter Sheriff Roundup for 2017. I'm Sheriff Bill Brown, and this time we're coming to you from the University of California at Santa Barbara. A new school year is underway, and with that comes the need to remind our students of important safety tips to ensure that they have a safe and successful school year. In Isla Vista, which is home to a large number of UCSB students and Santa Barbara City College students, we are pleased to report that in the first 6 months of 2017, violent crime decreased by 19%, and forcible rapes went down by almost 30%. We hope to see that number decrease even further as a result of our sexual assault awareness and prevention efforts. Remember, it's up to all of us to keep women and men safe from sexual assault.
Santa Barbara Rape Crisis Center does work towards ending sexual assault, and one way in which we do that is through community education. The way that we educate individuals to end sexual assault is through two ways. One is through prevention, and the other is through risk reduction. Prevention is really the way to end sexual assault. Prevention holds the perpetrator accountable, as they are the only ones who can end sexual assault. In addition to that, the community also holds responsibility to create an environment where sexual assault is not tolerated. So through education, what we do is we talk to individuals as to how they can be bystanders and intervene in situations where they can prevent sexual assault. And we also talk about some risk reductions. So on the risk reduction side, of course, there's things that individuals already hear. Cover your drink, when you go out with groups, know your limits, know how much you can drink before you no longer have control.
According to a Bureau of Justice report, women ages 18 to 24 are more likely than any other age demographic to become victims of sexual assault or rape. That's an alarming statistic for us because so many of our residents in Isla Vista fall directly within that demographic. We want to change the culture of the bystander behavior. We want to encourage people that if they see something that doesn't look right, say something or do something about it.
The community has a voice where they can tell perpetrators, no, that individual's intoxicated, your behavior towards them is not acceptable and that's not okay. And that's really the way that we can stop sexual assault and prevent it.
UCSB's Campus Advocacy and Resource Department, also known as CARE, cater to students who have questions, who want to see someone about an experience, and we provide confidential counseling.
Our CARE advocates believe that survivors have decision-making power, and we support them with the necessary information and rights to guide them through their healing process.
CARE and CAPS, Counseling and Psychological Services, provide 24-hour service. So no matter when a student would like to speak to someone, we have a 24-hour number and they're trained psychologists. CARE recognizes that a student may not be ready to report, they might just want some counseling. CARE does an excellent job in supporting that student through that process and so that they know what their options are, and then helps them if they do decide to go through the reporting process.
It's really important that we acknowledge that we're meeting students where they're at in terms of where they are in the community.
We have two locations. We have one located on campus, and we also have the Gaucho Support Center in Isla Vista.
The CARE office is fantastic. I'm able to reach out to them if I need to conduct follow-up interviews with the survivors. It's very important to us that we get the support because we understand that reporting is a big step.
Some survivors of rape or sexual assault, they're very hesitant to report the crime. We take it very seriously. We have the survivor's best interest in mind. The first thing we want to do is make sure that they get the medical attention they need. We try to minimize the trauma that they've experienced, and we also have the team approach. Not only law enforcement will respond, but we'll have rape crisis advocates, social workers, skilled medical professionals, and of course the investigators that'll come out and handle various aspects of the investigation.
So compassion and empathy is really part of an investigation of that type. You know, CARE actually works as a great resource for us in providing us and enhancing our own training.
We work collaboratively with the CARE office as well as the Title IX office, the DA's office, all our partners to effectively handle and investigate these cases involving sexual assault.
We pursue the apprehension of the perpetrator, and through the district attorney's office, we pursue conviction of those people responsible for the crime. Oftentimes, when people are not prosecuted, they feel like they can do whatever they want, it only tends to embolden that perpetrator to go ahead and commit further crimes in the future.
1 in 3 women and 1 in 6 men will survive sexual assault in their lifetime. So we know it's very common, and it's going to be a community effort to end sexual assault.
No! Ready? No!
CARE also works to promote prevention efforts campus-wide. So that includes bystander intervention and working with the campus community to create a safe environment for all of our students.
Our department actually offers some wonderful programs. One of those programs is the Department RAD program. There's a program for women, there's also a program for men. The Women's RAD program focuses on women's self-defense, and the RAD program for men focuses on de-escalation tactics and how to resolve conflict through communication.
My take on RAD is to try to get the information out there as much as possible and give the women in the community an opportunity to have a contingency plan. And I'd like to think that the RAD and programs like RAD tend to lower that number because they have a prepared response for someone who's trying to sexually assault them. And it's free for UCSB students, so that's amazing. It's just our way of hugging our community.
Is he a UC student? No, not
Shaved head now.
We work very closely with the Isla Vista Foot Patrol Station. A third of our sworn officers are assigned to the Foot Patrol Station, and they patrol with the deputies to keep Isla Vista and the community safe.
Yeah, it's amazing how much you see when you're on foot and how much you interact with people when you're on foot. Foot Patrol and the UCPD work famously together, I think, in the relationship and professionalism. We share each other's technology and information so that we can be efficient at working together and working with each other and, serving the community.
The department also offers jobs for students on campus. It's the CSO program, the community service officers. They work as our eyes and ears out in the Isla Vista community. They provide safety escorts, bicycle education, and they also patrol the dorms on campus for safety and security of the campus.
I think people are ready to take action. And I think that's a great thing. We need to really just keep empowering people and educating them that they are doing the right thing and encouraging them that they can make a difference.
The Santa Barbara Rape Crisis Center has a 24-hour hotline where advocates are standing by to talk to anyone who needs help. The number is 805-564-3696. Again, that's 805-564-3696. The campus advocacy resources and education 24-hour confidential hotline is also available at 805-893-4613. Again, that's 805-893-4613. The Sheriff's Office also now, for the first time, has a full-time detective assigned to the Isla Vista Foot Patrol. He will be conducting investigations into a variety of crimes committed in Isla Vista, including sexual assaults. The Sheriff's Office was involved in the investigation of a dynamic kidnapping case this past quarter that covered 3 states and multiple jurisdictions. Virginia Paris was kidnapped by her ex-boyfriend, Joseph Hetzel, shortly after she left work in the city of Solvang. Ms. Paris had sought a restraining order against Hetzel, but he forced his way into her car and took over the wheel. Sheriff's detectives worked around the clock to help find Paris and apprehend Hetzel. The two were first seen at a Starbucks in Goodyear, Arizona, where witnesses saw Hetzel forcing Paris into the car after she asked a customer for help.
Ludicrous. I mean, none of it makes sense.
The next day, they were spotted at a hotel near the Grand Canyon, where, again, Paris indicated she needed help.
I tried running many times, but he wouldn't let me. He had me by his side.
After 3 days of being held against her will, Paris was finally able to get help at a casino hotel in the Las Vegas area. Hetzel was located the next day at a Las Vegas lounge, where he was taken into custody. Thank you to our teams of detectives, our allied law enforcement agencies, members of the public, and the media, who all came together and assisted in the successful rescue of the victim and in the apprehension of the suspect. Sheriff's detectives also investigated a disturbing murder-suicide case in the city of Goleta. Dr. Christina Martin, an orthodontist from Tampa, Florida, was found murdered inside a Hollister Village apartment. The friend she was visiting at the residence, Beth Kernow, is believed to have committed the murder. Her body was later discovered by deputies in the garage, and it was determined that she had taken her own life. The two women were longtime acquaintances who had known each other in Florida. Detectives are investigating potential motives, but we may never truly understand what led to this horrific tragedy. On August 22nd, a suspect robbed an Orchid credit union at knife point, and shortly afterwards, he was shot and fatally injured in an officer-involved shooting. The suspect had advanced and brandished a knife as the deputy got out of his patrol car. The encounter happened just minutes after the credit union robbery occurred, when the deputy located 30-year-old Robert Earl Adams of Nipomo, fleeing from the scene. Adams was also wanted in connection with an assault with a deadly weapon case and an attempted robbery and auto theft case that had occurred the night before in San Luis Obispo County. It is moments like this that law enforcement officers dread, but must be prepared for. The Sheriff's Office continues to train on how to handle active shooter scenarios, and we are now including firefighters in that training. In this edition of the Training Corner, Commander Kelly Moore tells us why bringing law enforcement and fire personnel together is so important.
The training that we had today at Montecito Union was really centered on an active shooter scenario that integrated the medical rescue task force concept so that we can start integrating and working together more effectively. The initial call report of shots fired at Montecito Union School, then the first arriving deputy would go in and enter the scenario, and then based upon what he or she sees, would start hearing and seeing evidence of where the suspect is, so they'd start looking for that threat and trying to neutralize that threat. At the same time, trying to coordinate the response of the other units, the fire and medical services as well, to try to get them ready, because in these instances, we know that the quicker we can get somebody to medical care, whether it's right there on scene or having to remove them from the scenario out to a triage area for transport and that type of thing, the sooner we can get that done, the better the chances are for survival for that victim. It is chaotic, and you have all of these different stimuli coming in at the same time. You might have shots, you might have people screaming and yelling, you might have people running from you. Somebody that comes running out of a door may not be a suspect. We have to move very quickly to neutralize the threat, but that's got to be balanced with you can't move so fast that you can't process the information. So our first initial responsibility is make sure that there are no more victims, and the way we do that is neutralizing the threat. The next priority is who can we save here, and who needs help, and how do we prioritize that treatment and getting the proper people to them. Traditionally, in a lot of people's opinion, and I don't disagree with this, we waited too long to get that going. So what we're trying to do is get comfortable with the other disciplines and get them working with us so that they trust us that we're not going to put them where bullets are flying, because that's not what they're comfortable doing. None of us are comfortable doing that, but we understand that that's where our expertise comes in. So we're going to start escorting people in with the rescue task force concept, but we would have a force protection of law enforcement so that if some threat that is currently unknown pops out or presents itself, then we would be able to respond to protect those personnel. So it's just understanding protocols, it's understanding language. People from law enforcement, people from fire, and people from the medical services. We can all look at the same set of circumstances, but we interpret it different because we interpret it how it applies to us and what it means to us. So what we're trying to do in this type of training is look at what it is they're looking at and how they're going to interpret it, and that way I can help them get to their mission much quicker. And they're doing the same. You know, they're going into an unknown situation in an environment that's uncomfortable to them. And what we're trying to do is say, we're going to make it as comfortable as we can for you, and so we can get you in there and get us a little bit more help. So that we're on that same terminology, right? Whenever we do after-action reviews on anything, it always comes down to the breakdown in communication. That's always the problem. So the more we can get concise, good information, the better off we will be. We also had a tactical communication dispatcher there, and she was able to help us identify the areas that we weren't communicating appropriately in, which is the key to this. A lot of these things we just don't know until we actually put it into practice and we say, oh, we can't do that, or hey, we'd be much better doing it this way, and this should be our standard practice. This whole training day was the result of many people working together to come through it. But really, to make the scenario real, we utilized specialized equipment. We also used actors and all of the cadets at the Allen Hancock Training Center.
Do you have any update on patients?
2 victims down in Garden Center.
Our next step is a tabletop exercise played out on a game board where the game decides how you respond and who responds and what resources are available. But what it really does is it forces the very first initial responder to start setting up the capability to handle all of the incoming units and the structure that's going to be necessary to manage that. And the long haul, how we manage this type of event is really going to determine our success and failure rate. This is all part of our attempt in Santa Barbara County to get everyone on the same sheet of music. Frankly, this is what the public expects us to do, and we have to get better at it. We have to start working together as a cohesive team, and the only way we can do that is going through these types of things.
Thank you, Commander Moore, and everyone who helped put on or participated in this important training opportunity. The Sheriff's Office is also partnering with the DA's office to help spread the word about a troubling trend that is just not going away. We continue to see all types of phone scams, and many of them are targeting seniors. For this edition of Focus on Safety, Senior Deputy District Attorney Vicki Johnson tells us what is being done to help seniors avoid becoming a victim of such crimes.
become aware of a very serious problem in our community and nationwide, and this is scams targeting seniors. And this is considered elder abuse, elder financial abuse. There are crooks out there who are wanting to take advantage and do take advantage of this very, very vulnerable population. And the only way we can really combat this is through education. So that's why we are going out in the community and we are trying to talk to as many senior groups as we can to let them know what's going on in our community and try and warn people so they don't become victimized by these scams. Some of the common scams that these crooks use by calling you up is the IRS scam, where they tell you that you owe money to the IRS and you have to make immediate payment. The grandparent scam, where they claim a grandchild is in trouble, you need to send money right away. There's the fake kidnapping scam, where they claim that they've got a family member and you need to pay ransom. Those are just a few of the telephone scams that are happening in our community. If somebody is trying to get you to do something very quickly before you have time to think about it, that's clearly a red flag. Another red flag is if they ask you to wire money. Use Western Union, go down and buy a Green Dot card. You know that that's a scam. So what I would do if I were to get one of these calls is to simply hang up. Report it to the police. You can also report it to the FBI, and they encourage people to make these kinds of reports so that they can know what's going on out there.
Thank you, Vicki. We want to emphasize that the Sheriff's Office does not take payment of any kind over the phone. We urge you to never give your personal or financial information to someone over the phone if they claim to be a law enforcement officer. To report these types of phone scams, please call the Federal Trade Commission at 1-877-FTC-HELP. Again, that number is 1-877-FTC-HELP. First responders from multiple agencies are credited for helping prevent what could have been a devastating tragedy. 82 camp counselors, staff members, and campers, most of them children, were trapped by a rapidly spreading wildland fire at the Circle V Ranch camp during the early stages of the Whittier fire. The campers' escape route down a narrow mountain canyon was almost immediately cut off by a wall of flames and falling trees.
We moved over to evacuate the Circle V ranch. Upon doing so, I met up with Chief Oaks, and he had indicated to me that he had several children that were trapped or up at the camp that we needed to get out. Shortly thereafter, Mr. Dahlberg ended up going up the road, and we followed behind him with myself and 8 other sheriff's deputies to try and get up to the kids. As we were making our way up the roadway, we were driving through a pretty significant amount of burning debris that was on the roadway. There was trees falling down on the roadway, and we made it maybe a mile up the roadway before we encountered an area of vegetation that had not burned through yet. As it was burning, I'd stopped to evaluate if we were going to continue, and within seconds the entire shrubbery and trees engulfed in flames and the roadway was covered, leaving a complete wall of flames in front of us. I chose to bring the deputies out. I met back up with Chief Oaks and indicated that the road was not passable, we couldn't make it up, and that we requested additional fire personnel to go up and clear the road so that we could get vehicles up to get to the kids.
Firefighters and other first responders focused on accessing the camp by a different route and made contact with the trapped victims.
When I got up there, I met with Ray, who was a camp leader, and he immediately asked if we could get out, and I told him the road was very unsafe and that we are going to stay in place. During this time, there were a lot of helicopters and air tankers that were making drops just below the camp where we could see the flaming front of the fire moving towards us.
Members of the sheriff's search and rescue team arrived in a caravan of vehicles.
When we arrived at the camp, I was actually kind of amazed. Everything looked organized. They were calm. The kids were lined up. Our assignment was basically go up to the camp counselors, tell them how many people we could take in each vehicle. We gathered the kids along with the counselor, and we loaded the vehicles. We formed a line, formed that snake, and we proceeded down the canyon.
Thanks to a well-coordinated effort, all of the occupants and rescuers escaped unharmed.
I've been doing this for 15 years. I've been involved in multiple fires, multiple evacuations. This is probably the most intense fire I've had break out in a highly populated area where there were so many people we had to get out in such a short time. And I think the only reason that we were successful in making sure that no one was injured or killed was because of the cooperation between our agencies.
St. Vincent de Paul Circle V Ranch Camp expressed its sincere appreciation to all of the first responders. This rescue is a great example of the type of exemplary cooperation that exists among various agencies that have worked together on so many similar incidents over the years. These working relationships developed strong foundations that were evident during this potentially devastating situation. Thank you also to our dispatchers who, as always, were the voice of calm and showed true professionalism in handling the large volumes of calls they received during the Whittier fire. We also want to thank the Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Indians who unhesitatingly sent 2 buses to transport the young campers from the fire area to Solvang, where they were reunited with their parents. Well done, everyone involved. Recently, we welcomed 4 visitors from Puerto Vallarta to the Sheriff's Office. 3 of them were law enforcement officers and 1 was a Marine. This visit was part of our ongoing Sister Cities Exchange Program, where law enforcement officers from Puerto Vallarta received training from members of the Sheriff's Office. We're pleased and proud to continue this wonderful tradition. 2 dispatchers were recently honored for their actions during 2 critical 911 calls. Julie Cardenas received a CPR save pin for providing life-saving medical instructions to help a man who collapsed and stopped breathing during a basketball game. Dispatch Supervisor Shannon Hugenbosch received a blue stork pin for helping a woman who had just given birth to a child in her home. The 2 dispatchers were recognized at a special ceremony where we also celebrated the promotion of 9 Sheriff's Office personnel. Neil Gowing was promoted to Sheriff Sergeant and assigned to the Santa Maria Station. Tom Liston, Cassandra Marking, and Guillermo Ramirez were promoted to Custody Sergeants. Anthony Espinoza was promoted to Custody Lieutenant. Juan Camarena was promoted to Sheriff's Lieutenant and will continue his acting assignment overseeing human resources. Jason Grossini was promoted to Lieutenant and is the new Chief of Police Services for the City of Goleta. Lieutenant Grossini also received a warm welcome at his first Goleta City Council meeting. Goleta City Council members also recognized School Resource Deputy George Hedricks and Community Resource Deputy Dave Valadez for their outstanding service to the city. During the Sheriff's promotional ceremony, Rob Plastino was promoted to the rank of Sheriff's Commander and now leads the North County Operations Division. Commander Plastino should also be congratulated for his graduation from the Post Law Enforcement Command College in San Diego. Commander Craig Bonner also recently graduated from the Command College as well. Congratulations to both of them for completing this enlightening, rigorous, and challenging 16-month leadership course. The highest promotion this past quarter was the swearing in of Saul Lindber as the new Chief Deputy Sheriff of Law Enforcement Operations. This 30-year veteran has worked a wide variety of assignments during his expansive career, and like the others, was extremely grateful and honored to have the opportunity to promote. Congratulations to everyone who was promoted, and thank you for all you do and will do to help lead our organization. Someone who did a great job as a key leader in our organization is Chief Deputy Sam Gross. Sam recently retired after an impressive 46 years of service to the Sheriff's Office and the County of Santa Barbara. While Sam has countless memories of his times at the Sheriff's Office, he recently shared some of his favorites with us. Here's retired Chief Deputy Sam Gross with a look back at his unforgettable career.
When I started the Sheriff's Office, I was almost 22 years old. I was still going to college and looking for something within law enforcement. Santa Barbara Sheriff's Office, where I wanted to go to work, had openings at the time because they were just finishing up work on the then new jail. They were interviewing and was hired at the tail end of July 1971 as a deputy sheriff. My favorite assignments has been the times I spent at Foot Patrol as a deputy, a senior deputy, a sergeant, and as a lieutenant. The time I spent as the Lieutenant Watch Commander with county-wide responsibilities, and now my time as a Chief Deputy. Foot Patrol has always captivated my mind and my attention, my desire, my love, because you get out and you get to talk to people and you're not confined to a patrol car, and as a result you get to know people, you get to know the criminal activity patterns, you get to know kids both good and bad, and because it's a young adult community, you're dealing with people who are in their later stages of their formative years, and as a result you get the full range of law enforcement responsibilities. As I look at law enforcement in general and my philosophy towards law enforcement, you can't change what's going to happen. You can only affect how you handle it within a certain period of time. You have to be tenacious. You have to really learn that you're not going to get the desired result sometimes in 5 or 10 minutes. You're going to get that result in weeks or months or years. But you're searching for what has happened, what the truth is. I enjoyed doing what I was doing. Every day, being a law enforcement officer is a different day. No 2 days are the same. You meet different people every day. There are different challenges, and that interest and that desire to help and assist others has kept me here. I've made consciously over the years decisions not to leave, but this is the first time I've said, I think it's time now to go on to other things and do other things. My wife has been my rock and my support, and she's probably kept me here probably longer than I may have stayed originally, because I've had doubts at times, and she's always reinforced the fact that you're doing what you want to do and you need to keep doing that. So now I have a grandchild, and the grandchild has, as someone said this morning, given me the twinkle in my eye. I will continue to have fun with my family and spend a lot of time caring for the folks that really mean a lot to me. I'm going to desperately miss the people that I've worked with, the people who I've worked for, the people that have worked for me. They are a superb group of people. The men and women that make up this organization show so much camaraderie and so much spirit that makes this one of the premier law enforcement agencies in the state of California, probably outside the state of California. I'm very proud of my career. I'm proud of my family. I would not have asked to do this any differently. If I were to do it again tomorrow and I were starting out at 18, 19, 20, I'd be back applying for a job at Santa Barbara Sheriff's Office in a heartbeat.
Sam, we wish you well as you focus now on being Grandpa Gross, and we thank you for all your years of stellar service and unsurpassed devotion to duty. While we've lost some great employees to retirement, the Sheriff's Office has also welcomed a fine new group of members of our team. We recently hired 8 new custody deputies, including Todd Coombs, Yalitza Esparza, Reynaldo Garcia, Joshua Lake, Kyle Leon, Michael Locker, and Daniel Nova. We also welcomed 2 administrative office professionals, Catherine Ochoa and Sonia Rangel, as well as 2 new dispatchers, David Carlman and Jordan Parado. Also joining our ranks was Fiscal Officer Christina Sibley, who transferred to our agency from the county's Behavioral Wellness Department. A warm welcome to all of our new employees. We wish you a long, safe, and rewarding career with the Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office is always looking for outstanding people who are seeking to make a difference in their community. If you're interested in a rewarding career with our agency, go to our website at www.sbsheriff.org and click on our employment section to find out more about job opportunities. We want to end this roundup by acknowledging the extraordinary work being done by our generous Sheriff's Benevolent Posse, which is stepping up during a tough financial time to help support the men and women of the Sheriff's Office and the people we protect and serve. The Posse recently launched Project Deputy Dog to raise money needed for the purchase of 2 new Sheriff's canines to replace service dogs that are nearing retirement. One of the canines would be trained in patrol, tracking, and bomb detection, and the other would be trained in narcotics detection. In addition to purchasing the dogs, the funds raised will help pay for ongoing training, equipment, and other expenses. In all, the Posse hopes to raise $160,000 for Project Deputy Dog. If you would like to contribute or learn more about this wonderful program, go to the Sheriff's Posse website at www.sbsheriffsposse.com. The Sheriff's Posse also recently raised $40,000 to help keep our DARE program alive. The Drug Awareness and Resistance Education Program, taught by retired Sheriff's Deputy Leslie Avila, teaches kids about the importance of making good decisions, resisting negative peer pressure, detecting and preventing bullying, and many more important life decisions. Due to budget cuts, the program almost had to be discontinued. But thanks to the Benevolent Posse, hundreds of children at 7 schools in the North County and the Santa Ynez Valley will continue to benefit from the positive program. We wish DARE could be offered at every school in Santa Barbara County. If you would like to support DARE, please go to the Sheriff's Benevolent Posse website at www.sbsheriffsposse.com. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Sheriff's Roundup. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay safe, and thank you for supporting us as we protect your safety.